Hi, it's Saturday night, so tonight I'm going to cook some fresh minced beef burgers. They're going to have lots of hidden veg inside, but you don't actually taste the vegetables, so you can sneak them in without the children knowing about them. So I'm going to show you the ingredients that I'm using today, but you can be quite flexible, so whatever you've got left in the fridge can usually be popped in. Okay, let's look at the ingredients for the beef burgers. Won't surprise you to know that there's beef in them. This is a big pack of beef. I'm feeding 4 people, 2 of which are teenagers, which are always hungry. But also I'm going to hopefully make some extra burgers and pop them in the freezer because this recipe freezes really, really well. I've also got 1 whole white onion that has been chopped up. I've actually put it in the little blitzer to make sure it's really, really fine pieces. I've also got a little bowl full of parsley. This adds a beautiful flavour to the burgers. It's really, really fresh. I grow parsley in the garden in a little pot because I think it's about $1.99 for a pot of parsley, and that will just grow all summer, so you'll have a plentiful supply of herbs. I've very finely grated 1 large carrot. It was a huge carrot, and I've also grated 1 normal size courgette. Now, if you wanted to, you could put in some other vegetables as well. You could pop some sweet corn in, or even chop down some peas and put them in there. It really is a hidden vegetable burger. I've also got some black pepper. This is coarse black pepper. You could just grind it in or have it very fine. That's absolutely lovely. But I do find we like pepper, and that gives a really nice bite to the burgers. I'm going to pop some smoked paprika in there. It just adds some lovely warmth. And I thought I'd just show you these, crushed chilies or chili powder. You could put those in, it works beautifully well, but my children aren't very keen on that flavour. So tonight I'm going to leave that to one side, but certainly if you love chili flavour, pop that in as well as the paprika and the pepper. But as I say, for tonight, I'm going to leave that to one side. Also got the salt, and I have some tomato paste. I'm going to pop some of that in there as well. Once this is opened, you really need to use it within about 4 weeks. Just keep it in the fridge, use it within 4 weeks. So that's half a pack I've got. This recipe doesn't usually call for tomato puree, but because I've got it and I want to use it before it's wasted, I'm going to pop some in the burgers tonight. Okay, so making these burgers is really easy. Basically, you just put everything into one bowl and mash it all together. So first to go in that bowl is the minced beef, and I'm just going to gently break that up. There we go, it's nice little bits. And quite simply, we just add in all the other ingredients. So in goes that grated carrot. And in goes the grated courgette. And in goes the onion. Now, if you've got children helping you, they might want to get their hands in that bowl and actually use their hands to mix it all up. As long as they've washed their hands first, it's a really great way of doing it. In fact, I'm not ruling it out as a method for me to use in a moment. We'll see how well it combines. It's starting to go together quite nicely, actually. Use the biggest bowl you can find because you'll get a lot more mixing achieved if you've got a nice big bowl. Now, these would be great to cook on the barbecue if you've got a barbecue. They would be great to, you could put them in the oven, you could put them into a griddle pan or a frying pan. I'm going to grill them, and they don't actually take long depending on how thick you make them, because obviously you want to make sure that they're absolutely cooked through. Now, if you like burgers, there is also a pork burger recipe on the website, so do have a look at that one as well. That's really delicious as well. But as I say, today I thought I'd just do some beef burgers. Okay, I'm going to serve these in a bun when they're all cooked. And into that bun, I'm probably going to put a slice of cheese and maybe some coleslaw. And I'm going to serve it with probably some homemade chips. I've also got some sweet potatoes in the fridge, so I might do some sweet potato chips, which are nice and easy. Can you see how that's combining really well? So also in goes the parsley. And let's put some of that black pepper in. I've taken the top off so I can actually work out how much is going to go in. And I reckon that's probably just over a teaspoon. I won't tip the paprika into my hands because that will just really, really sticky. And I'm going to put about a teaspoon probably about a teaspoon of paprika in there. Paprika, if you haven't used it before, it just gives a really nice warming flavour. And we're also going to put in a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so just combine all that together. You really need to give it a good mix once those herbs and spices have gone in. Otherwise, one poor person is going to have a very, very hot mouth if they bite into the cheese and paprika, and somebody else is going to get a very, very plain tasting burger. So really make sure it's properly combined. That's looking good. So at this stage, I'd usually put the grill on to start it warming up because we're not far away from them being ready to cook. But actually I'm preparing these in advance. I'm not going to cook them until a bit later. So once I've prepared these ones, I'm going to put one batch in the fridge for later and one batch in the freezer for either later in the week or for lunch one day or whenever the sunshine comes out and we can pop some on the barbie. If you do put them in the freezer, make sure you defrost them thoroughly before you cook them. You can't cook them from frozen. I suppose you could, but it just takes longer and you never know whether that centre's cooked. So I wouldn't take the chance. I always defrost my handmade burgers if I've frozen them. There we go, that's looking super. And you can already see how that is all sticking together quite nicely. So it's a really nice consistency to make some little burger patties out of. You could also make little meatballs if you prefer meatballs, and you can make them whatever size you like. So say you've got some bread rolls, but you've only got the hot dog rolls, you can actually make them into a nice long sausage shape. It doesn't just have to be the traditional patty shape. You can just do what you want to do. Okay. Now's the time to get my hands really sticky, so I might just quickly wash them again before I start handling that meat. I've just washed my hands, so I'm ready to dive them into that bowl and start making the burgers, but I have just completely forgotten that I was going to put some tomato puree in there. So let's do that right now. I think I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons. And let's just re-blend that together. Make sure that is really nicely mixed in with all those hidden vegetables. I guess you could put spinach in there if you wanted to. Just trying to think what other vegetables you can have on hand. So you could slice up or dice up some mushrooms. They'd be absolutely delicious in there. So you've got quite a bit of flexibility really. And as I say, the children will not notice the flavours. Oh! Okay, so for those of you watching this really carefully, you'll have seen a little dog just run past behind me and start whining to be let out. So he's now gone outside. So I've re-washed my hands again. And now it's time to start making these burger patties. Your hands are going to get very, very messy. But as I say, if you've got children at home, get them involved with doing it. They'll really enjoy it. So you just need to take a small handful of the meat and you really need to give it a nice firm squeeze. You really want to start making a little ball shape, and then as you put it down, just pat the top of it, which is where they get their name, patties. There we go, a little burger patty. Let's put that there. So I put the grill on in the background, so I'm gonna cook some of these right now. Okay, so These burgers are going to go onto a grill pan, which means the extra fat that's in them will just drop through and be caught in the bottom of the tray. You could, if you wanted to, put them in a little griddle pan or put them on the barbecue or even fry them, but just go very, very gently with the heat, because there's a danger that you'll burn them on the outside and they won't be cooked thoroughly on the inside. For those burgers that I'm going to put in the freezer, they're going to go in a Tupperware box, and in between the layers of burgers I'm going to put some grease-proof paper. If you don't do that and pop them in the freezer on top of each other, they will just stick together and freeze, and when they defrost they'll have lost their shape a bit. So try, if you can, just to put some greaseproof paper in between, or even some foil. Foil will work just as adequately, or even cling wrap actually, whatever you've got. You just want to form some sort of layer in between them so that they don't start to merge with each other. I'm going to carry on with this. This will probably take me about another 10-15 minutes, and once I've got them all shaped up, I'll show you the next step. Right, so I've finished making all the little burger patties now, and some of them are on the grill pan ready to go in, and some of them are in the Tupperware box ready to go in the freezer. So I have already lined the Tupperware box with some greaseproof paper, just so that when I get them out it'll be easier to peel that bottom layer off. I'm then going to put another layer of paper on top of those and just put those last few burgers in the box. The lid will go on that and they will go straight in the freezer for when we next get some sunshine for the barbecue, or for when we decide it's time for burgers again for tea. These ones are going to go straight in the grill on a medium heat. You don't want it too high, otherwise they're going to burn quite quickly, and we need to make sure they're cooked right the way through. I'm going to pop them in, I reckon, for about 1/4 of an hour. We'll turn them once during the cooking process, but I always will take one and cut it in half when I think they're probably done, just to check the inside is definitely cooked through. And if it's still a little bit red and raw inside, they can all go back in for another 5 minutes or so. Just got one of these little burgers out from the grill to just check that it's cooked right through. And you can see there's no red meat left, so they are perfect. Now I know that the burgers are cooked right through, I'll just put a little piece of cheddar cheese on top of each one. I'm going to pop that back under the grill for about 30 seconds so we can have cheeseburgers. Cheese has melted beautifully under there, you can still see it all bubbling away. So now it's time to serve up. So here are the little cheeseburgers on the plate. I've got it with some coleslaw. I will show you shortly how to make some coleslaw. We'll get that recipe up for you. I've got homegrown lettuce with a bit of a dressing and some little homemade French fries. It's going to be delicious. Perfect Saturday night dinner.